today, experimenting with your life. Maria Scileppi had a dilemma a lot of us can relate to. She was feeling lonely, and she wanted more friends, so she decided to do something dramatic to make it happen. Roll it. Maria Scileppi's life was like something out of Mad Men.
I had the sexy job, I had the hot boyfriend, I was working on Madison Avenue. Life was really great. There's me walking down Madison Avenue at my first job, and I remember thinking, I can't believe I made it. I can't believe I have a job on Madison Avenue in New York. You know, it's like that. Is this real?
But the stress of her job took its toll.
I was really starting to lose my sense of self. I woke up one morning to a bald spot on the top of my head due to stress, and that was my final straw.
Something had to give. So Maria baked a plan to leave her job.
It was my birthday, so I decided to put my resignation letter into cupcakes and pass them out at the office. I made little flags just like that, and on one side said, it's my birthday, and then on the other side said, thanks for 5 great years.
Originally from Chicago, Maria decided to move back home and start over.
So this is my Chicago home. I pretty much changed everything in my life. I left my city and my friends and the guy I thought I was going to marry. Life was starting to turn around, except for one thing. I realized I didn't have any friends. And I remember this eureka moment when I decided I'm going to make a new friend every single day for a year. Mind if I sit here for a sec?
Yeah, no.
Oh. Are you from out of town?
I am, yeah.
Welcome, Maria.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So just at the last 5 seconds of that piece were the best part. You sit down next to a guy after saying you're going to make a new friend. I know what that guy's thinking. He's going, you're sitting next to me?
Yeah.
What's up? So before we even get into this whole thing, when you sit down to a guy like that, you know there's an implication that he's already going, are you hitting on me?
Yeah, that did happen. I'm sure there were some people that thought, that got confused. But I really tried to make it clear that I was just trying to connect.
And so what was it? What was the impetus? Because it's such a grand idea to say, I'm going to make a new friend every day for a year. That's almost 400 friends.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when you said, I'm actually going to do this?
Yeah, I did. I remember the moment very clearly, and I was in a cab ride heading over to a party with people I didn't know. And it just hit me. I'm like, you know, I'm going to make a new friend every day for a year. And then 3 hours later, once I felt comfortable with them, I told them the idea. I was a little like, oh, I had this idea coming over here. And they're like, great, why don't you start right now? So I said it out loud, and then I had to commit to it. You know, people already knew about it. So it was really peer pressure in the best possible sense, because people would ask me, oh, who'd you meet yesterday?
What's the reaction from people generally? Like when you sit down next to a guy on a park bench, do you tell him, hey, here's what I'm doing, and you're my friend for the day?
No, because I wanted it to be authentic. So I wouldn't tell people about my project until the very end. So I would feel a connection. I had a few simple rules. It had to be a significant social exchange, and I had to feel a connection before I would ask them to be my person for the day. So I would get to know them, and sometimes that took 30 minutes, sometimes it took several hours. And then as we were about to part ways, I'd say, oh, by the way, I'm doing this project. Will you be my September 12th?
Now, at that point, do people feel, I might feel a little like you took me a little, like, you know, I invested in you and now I find out I'm part of a project?
That was not the case. Because I didn't do anything differently. The only thing that was different was that I documented it. You know, I was very true to myself. I was an adult in a new city trying to connect with new people and form a community.
That's a great shot with all the people you've met.
Yeah.
How many people are you friends with today of the 400?
I would say in my phone, I have about 10%, about 40 people. I ended up meeting 412 people because some days I'd meet 2 interesting people. I'm like, oh, I have to have both of them in my project. And so I was relieved on the last day. I'm like, oh, it's done, it's over. But actually, I had just planted seeds of these relationships are growing things. If you feed it, it grows.
Right.
And
so we have somebody here, Mindy. How did you meet Mindy?
So I realized I'd created an accidental community. People identified with being a part of it. They're like, oh, Maria, you won't believe who I met. I met your May 9th. I'm like, oh my God, tell May 9th I said hi. So I wanted to visualize what a community looks like. That was the next step for me. So I started tracking groups of people and making artwork out of it. And Mindy saw that, and that's what really inspired her.
Mindy, you were inspired by this work. How did it impact your life?
I left my job the Tuesday after I met her. I left my job because I was ready to meet the challenges that I've created for myself with my art and music.
Happy. You weren't happy in your career.
I am very grateful for the experience I had and the job that I left, but personally, no, I was not internally happy.
And so what did you do?
So the significance of meeting Maria was she told me about a variety show that she hosts here on the 29th. And I will be premiering my music looping, something that I've had in my heart for 5 years. I'm going to be premiering this at her show on the 20th.
Excellent. Congratulations. So where are you now in terms of the work and life choices you make?
Okay, well, I fully live as life is art. I'm doing my art full-time now. I live in an artist co-op. So far, my life now is so far removed from my New York life. I lived in Manhattan and, you know, had the fancy job. Now I make my art full-time, and the art is about connecting with people. I think you have to be true to yourself, and I think a lot of times adults forget to have fun. And that your job should be fun. I mean, yes, it's work, and you know you've got deadlines and all that stuff. But if you're not having fun, then you're not, I think, being true to yourself.
There's a quote. Throw up the regrets of the dying, Brian. There's a quote I reference often on here because it really blows me away. This woman interviewed 200 people who were in a hospice, and the number 2 regret of people who are dying, and it was number 1 among men: I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because there's a disconnect in our lives where we work and we work and we work and we identify with all these jobs, and then when we get old and we start to die, if we're lucky we get old, we go, God, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And what you're doing is saying, I like community, I'm going to make art and community and all this my job, and I'm going to find a way to make the lifestyle I can afford within what I have, and I'm much happier and I have all my hair.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing I regret.